Disruption King. And here it comes back around, rounding the corners with Paul Fenton, who I think is going with the Gerard Fabiano style deck, really reinvigorating that kind of archetype.
Looks like we've already started the game. We've got a turn 1 Thoughtseize hit
Pulling
by
out
a Force of Will.
Must be a good card being protected.
Yeah,
I would bet Stoneforge Mystic or Bob. Dark Confidant.
So just to give you guys an idea, comparing these lists, they actually are very similar despite having slight, different color choices here. Both players playing Dark Confidants, both players playing Stoneforge Mystic, both players with what's that?
Keep going.
Okay, I'm sorry. Both players with Swords to Plowshares and Umezawa's Jite and Sword of Feast and Famine, Batterskull, Vindicate. A lot of similarities in these lists. So there's the turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic. Searches for Batterskull. Now, we used to say, well, this looks like Standard, but it doesn't anymore.
It doesn't look like Standard. You don't get to see this in Standard. This looks like what Extended might have been.
Fair. Or Modern. Is that like what Modern might have been, I think is what you meant.
No, what Extended might have been. Because we would be seeing this in Extended at the PT.
True, but there is Extended. Extended still can be this.
Fair enough. Swords to Plowshares from Paul.
So he wastes a Tundra, and then Swords is away the Stoneforge Mystic. So we know Michael has the Batterskull in hand, but...
In third place, Chris Pelletier.
Unable to vial out that Batterskull without the Stoneforge Mystic.
In fifth place, Jonathan Lewis. In sixth place, Brian Smith. And in seventh place, rounding out the 3-0 players, Seamus Callahan. Eighth place, with tiebreakers of 83.33%. Topping out the 6-pointers, David McNamara sneaks in.
And Michael.
Come on up to the main event stage. Melissa DeToro, Christopher Conti, Chris Pelletier, Gabriel Bonder.
Michael Caffery dropping a Dark Confidant into play.
Seamus Callahan and David McNamara. Congratulations to the top 8.
Okay, so for those of you who were overhearing what was being said over the loudspeakers, the number 1 seed at the end of the first set of the draft challenge, Melissa DeTora, perhaps the most famous of the Magic's female players in the game. Maybe Michelle Bush might be the other person. Both Northeast players. Michelle Bush now retired. Melissa DeTora still playing the game.
So meanwhile, Bob was bolted by Paul. Michael plays a third land and passes back to Paul here. Paul has a Batterskull in hand, which he did not fetch up. Naturally drew into a Batterskull. Michael, we know, has a Batterskull in hand. And off of that Stoneforge Mystic. Only lands in play right now.
He gets his third land.
And so both players with 3 lands, access to all their colors.
3 mana, could be a Vindicate, could be a Sword of Feast and Famine, could be a Chain of Spells, could be a Mirran Crusader. Not with that color combination. Starts with the Grim Lavamancer, and then casts maybe Hymn to Torok? Bob.
We have
a spell snare for Bob.
Yep.
Jinx.
Jinx.
Okay, Joey.
Jinx. Thank you. Thank you.
Grim Lavamancer on the table. And Michael Caffery says go.
No play, no land drop, no play.
A Plains from Paul.
And there's a Stoneforge Mystic.
Now they both have dropped Stoneforge Mystic. If this resolves, yep, it does resolve.
And Paul will choose.
I'm gonna bet a Jite. There it is, the Jite.
Yeah. A non-Batterskull equipment.
This leaves him with 1 equipment left in his library, the Sword of Feast and Famine.
Both players playing the same equipment package. 1 Sword of Feast and Famine, 1 Jite, 1 Batterskull.
We have seen in this format sometimes Sword of Body and Mind.
Yeah, talked to a couple of players earlier this morning saying they're playing Stoneforge Mystic alongside Body and Mind.
4 mana, it might be Jace here.
Body and Mind notably over Feast and Famine.
We get a swords. I didn't see what it was targeting. It looks like it must have been the Grim Lavamancer. Shoots you, he says. Take 2.
Makes sense. I don't think he would have targeted the Stoneforge Mystic.
He's not aware that there's already a Batter Skull in Paul's hand.
That's true.
He says go.
There's a Thoughtseize from Paul, and we're going to see it hit the stack. Michael has Batter Skull and something else.
He responds. Vendilion Click
was the other card.
Which I expect we're going to see a response to that as well.
Maybe one of the main reasons that he decided to get rid of that Lavamancer, just to...
He shows the Batter Skull. You get a fresh card in his hand.
Targets himself and is able to put the Batter Skull back, draw it. One of the underused abilities on Vendilion Click, I think, a lot of times.
Thoughtseize resolves, takes care of Jace the Mind Sculptor. And yeah, that is definitely one of the more uncommon abilities. I actually really like Team Italia as a deck. I mean, it basically has a lot of card advantage, and it has a lot of disruption.
Needs more blue.
In lieu of the blue, it runs things like Hymn to Turok. We see down comes Batter Skull. He's looking for a token for it. What kind of germ will he use? The germ.
Classic germ.
Yes. Edgar Flores likes to use a picture of himself for the germ.
And Umezawa's Jite joins Batter Skull.
Ouch! That's a lot of good
hanging
stuff
out with
on
that
germ.
That germ is dangerous. 4/4, lifelink, vigilance, and holding a Jite.
Block.
All right, block. Yeah.
Might as well get the block in while you can. One of the best plays that Michael Caffery could potentially lay here is a Vindicate on that Batter Skull, but he does not have one. Scoops it up, doesn't see a way out of this problem.
Yeah, Vindicate on Batter Skull would have been pretty clutch right there.
That would have been the moment to do it, too. Because after that, then the Batter Skull can protect itself.
So going to game 2 here. Looking at the sideboard. Timely Reinforcements in Michael's sideboard. Another standard card, another very recently printed standard card, seeing play in Legacy.
I predict Manriki Gusari will be brought in.
Seems good.
By Michael Caffery.
It's none on the other side of the board, though. No Manrikis, but a sort of Fire and Ice.
Manriki Gusari, what it can do is you can use it to break your opponent's equipment. It's a piece of equipment that breaks other equipment.
Right. Speaking of other equipment, sort of Fire and Ice in Paul's sideboard. Seems like a decent inclusion, protection from 2 of Michael's colors.
I expect what we're going to see is, I expect that Paul Fenton is going to bring in Duress. I think he's going to bring in Path to Exile, and I think he's going to bring in Phyrexian Metamorph. The reason he'll bring in Metamorph can copy the Bob, copy the Click to kill it and use the effect, or copy a Stoneforge Mystic, or if there's a Batter Skull in play or something like that, you can copy it right away. I think that's what you're going to expect there.
Absolutely. It definitely seems like a nice match to have that available. Both players have Metamorph available.
On the other side of the table, I think that Michael Caffery is going to bring in Dark Blast. It's a repeatable answer to both Bob and Grim Lavamancer.
Yeah.
I think he's going to bring in Manriki Gusari, and
Diabolic Edict doesn't seem bad either.
Edict is just fine. At this point, we start getting into a bunch of cards that are fine, and that's the question.
Go for the throat, Ghastly
Which fine
Demise,
card do you bring in? Do you bring in Disenchant? Maybe. Do you bring in Phyrexian Metamorph? I think it's less powerful in the Jace build, but I think it's still useful. You probably bring in the Metamorph, because you still want to copy the opponent's side of the board if they have the thing you don't have.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that during a short window, during Affinity, I was talking with Zvi, and Zvi convinced me that the card you wanted in the mirror at a certain point was, I believe, Sculpting Steel. And the reason, sometimes they had the Ravager and you didn't, and now you've got more Ravagers.
Yeah. It's definitely, I mean, I think that's a very big role that Phyrexian Metamorph plays, both in Standard and in Legacy. And like Metamorph, also, Phantasmal Image now fulfilling the same role in both Standard and Legacy. We have, like, basically mirror matches, where these cards kind of provide an additional copy of a key spell that your opponent has. So, like you were saying in Standard a few years ago, back when Affinity was around, Sculpting Steel. Now we have Batter Skulls in Legacy that are being copied. It would be interesting to see him, I don't think this is likely, but copying, with all the equipment running around in both decks, to see a copied Manriki Gusari. Michael has the Manriki Gusari. Paul would love to get a Metamorph to copy a Manriki Gusari and then destroy it, where he'd basically steal the Gusari from Michael. So we have games underway. Michael leads with a Creeping Tar Pit, a land I'm happy to see that seeing play in Legacy, because it's not going to be in Standard much longer. Paul leads on a Grim Lavamancer. Underground Sea. And I believe that was a Dark Blast for the Lavamancer, just as we expected. Dark Blast in there, repeatable removal. Seems really good. I believe that was a fetch land. Some glare, I think that's a Marsh Flats. For those of you who may be just joining us, I'm Joey Pasco here in the booth with Adrian Sullivan, covering the StarCityGames.com Open Series here in Boston. This is round 3 of 9 here in the Legacy portion. Yesterday we had Standard, 10 rounds of Standard, followed by a top 4 this morning, culminating in a win from Blue-Red Splinter Twin combo. So, Hymn to Torok is met with a Spell Snare from Michael. And
Bob
now we have
back.
a Bob. Yeah.
Must be killed. There's a bolt, though. Looks like a bolt.
Looked like it to me, too. And there's the bolt. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's not a
Grim
bolt. That's
Lavamancer.
Grim Lavamancer. Was it bolt? We may have been seeing...
Swords to Plowshares in here, maybe?
Yeah, there. That was not bolt. That was Grim Lavamancer. And Stoneforge Mystic. So Paul has no creatures at the beginning of turn. 2 here as he passes the turn back to Michael after getting a Umezawa's Jite with the Stoneforge Mystic. Bob, though, represents a pretty big threat, I think. Not necessarily in his power and toughness so much as the cards he represents. The extra cards he represents.
Bob is one of the classic all-time best creatures. Usually the fight used to be, what's the best creature in the game? And one of the answers was Tarmogoyf. One was Dark Confidant. And now, some people would put in Stoneforge Mystic in that equation.
So he dredges back the Dark Blast that he had used on the first Grim Lavamancer, and I assume he's about to take out the second.
Is that a Mishra's Factory hanging back there on the ground?
There is, yeah. It looks like a foil DCI promo version of Mishra's Factory.
Dark Blast goes to work on Grim Lavamancer.
As expected. So that Dark Blast now has taken out 2 Grim Lavamancers, showing the power of the Dredge spell. Not even in a Dredge deck, just being able to reuse removal. Another card available in Modern. Seems like an interesting pair with Punishing Fire Grove, 2 repeatable removal spells. And that's enough to kill a 4 toughness creature. Yeah. Right? Double Dark Blast, dredge it back, Dark Blast, and then Punishing Fire.
Right now, Paul has a lot of land in his hand. He's got an Umezawa's Jite. He's contemplating whether or not he should go all in, put the Jite on the Stoneforge Mystic, and attack. But if he does go all in this method, that does mean he's tapped out. So if Michael Caffery has some sort of instant removal spell, then that will mean he will basically be just kind of hurt. What he does instead is he takes care of the Soul Black source in play, easily replaced by the Flooded Strand, with a Wasteland, and says go. I actually like the idea of going all in there. Lay the land, cast the Jite, and if it resolves, take care of that Dark Confidant now, before it does any more damage.
Well, instead he decided to play defense here, or at least be a little less proactive in his strategy. Michael reveals a Polluted Delta off the Bob, so Bob being very kind.
A Batterskull in hand, that actually changes the equation. I understand it a lot more if he's got a Batterskull.
Right. So Michael with 2 fetch lands, cracks 1, just the Polluted Delta. Looks like he's got some sort of response to that Batterskull.
Could be a Disenchant.
Yeah, he's got 2 Disenchants on the sideboard. Very well could be seeing one of those right there. And
there it is.
Yeah, Disenchant. Is that
That's
a
the
Tempest?
Tempest Disenchant. You can see her breaking the sliver, the metallic sliver.
That's Hannah Ship's Navigator, I think, and featured in the artwork.
And now Paul has the option that he had before to potentially go forth and lay the Jite now, and then come in, getting rid of Dark Confidant, assuming nothing else goes wrong. I like getting rid of Bob. Thoughtseize.
That's a bolt. Yeah,
Bolt gets rid of Bob.
it does.
Michael says okay.
Yeah, he's drawn a couple cards off of it, so seems decent. Now, news from the floor. We know that Jerry Thompson is now 3-0 with his Hypergenesis deck. A third of the way through the tournament. Doesn't mean... I mean, it's definitely great news, but doesn't necessarily mean anything. We saw Nick Spagnola yesterday go 7-0 and then lose out in the last 2 rounds. I don't know if he even ended up finishing in... I don't know if he went X-3 or if he went 7-3 or 8-2. So
Jace the Mind Sculptor from Michael Caffery. Probably not going to bounce the Mystic.
you know, he goes with a Brainstorm. Seems like a nice play there. I agree with that. And dredging away some cards just to get that Dark Blast back. Now
He does lose an Umezawa's Jite to the yard, so his Stoneforge Mystic's slightly less powerful now. And end of the turn,
and there's
Mystic
Umezawa's
puts
Jite.
Jite into play. You see the equip of the Jite. Got a Thoughtseize in his hand?
Didn't quite see it. It's too quick.
I'm gonna attack, he says. I attack.
So this will likely protect. I mean, if it does combat damage, in which appears that Michael has an answer.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna let it do combat damage. I think he's just gonna Dark Blast it to prevent it from dealing anything. It won't kill it, but it will keep the damage down. No damage for you. The 0-1 Mystic comes menacingly towards Michael's side of the table, but doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, it's again. I mean, I have to just point to Dark Blast and say, look how powerful this repeatable removal spell is. It's you know, it's already killed 2 Grim Lavamancers, and now it's doing work to nullify the advantages on an Umezawa's Jite. It does have some sort of cost in that it's putting a lot of cards in the graveyard, but I think...
Draw, dredges 3 cards. Looks like click, lands, counterspell. I predict we're going to see a Brainstorm effect next. Brainstorm, 1, 2, 3. Now, what's also really fun is that he can put 2 cards back, and then if he's used his Dark Blast, when he dredges, clear out the cards he doesn't want anymore.
Yeah. Nice interaction with Jace.
Waiting to see where the next thing is. Mishra's Factory going to come on through.
So he Dark Blasts away the Stoneforge Mystic. I'm a little bit confused. How did he Dark Blast away that Stoneforge Mystic? It was
He casts the Dark Blast. It goes into the yard.
Right.
Activates the Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Oh, that was what it was.
Draw, dredge, recast it.
Okay, that's what it was. Mirren Crusader.
Mirren Crusader?
A promo Mirren Crusader. The Buy a Box promo.
He carries a Jite very well since he's got Double Strike.
He certainly does. Michael did all that work to yeah, he says hold up a sec.
It's not a card he wants to resolve.
You know what I think happened is Paul went to equip it and said, wait, can I take this back? And Michael said, yeah, that's fine. So he let him unequip. Because the turn is clearly Michael's at this point. Michael bounces the Mirren Crusader after dredging back the Dark Blast. Gets in there with an activated Creeping Tar Pit and Mishra's Factory, so there's 5 damage. Thoughtseize from Paul.
What you got?
Dark Blast and something else. Dark Blast and Misstep.
Misstep.
It's kind of like, well, you know I have the Dark Blast. I'm not paying mana or life for no reason here. You're going to get the Misstep one way or another.
And the Misstep goes away.
Makes Paul lose that life too in not countering the Thoughtseize. Obviously, like I said, no reason to counter the Thoughtseize. Paul already knew Michael had the Dark Blast.
3 mana.
Same old Mirren Crusader.
Still good.
Gonna likely just take another counter off of Jace. Unless Michael has another way to answer it. We know he only has Dark Blast at this point.
Some mana being spent here. Looks like 4 mana, perhaps? Phyrexian Metamorph. Copies the Mirren Crusader.
Copy the Mirren Crusader, yeah.
Bounces the Mirren Crusader from Paul. Thanks for the Mirren Crusader, buddy. Attack for 2. Jace down to 1 token.
Michael happy to keep bouncing that Mirren Crusader with Jace, though. Mirren Crusader. Surprise. Equip.
Equip it. And now he's just hoping to have Jace die. He's bouncing it. Jace dies, and Mirran Crusader is bounced yet again. Attack for 9 on the nose.
Yeah, that'll take game 2 for Michael Caffery, taking us up to game 3 between Paul Fenton playing Team Italia and Michael Caffery playing Esperblade. I was saying earlier, one of the other interesting uses of Phyrexian Metamorph, this more on Paul Fenton's side, is to copy Caffery's Manrika Gusari and then destroy it, in effectively stealing the Manrika Gusari from Michael in the same way that Michael just kind of stole a Mirran Crusader from Paul. Very interesting card with a lot of options, just in the fact that it can copy not just creatures, but artifacts, you know, and it also does not require blue mana. Very cool card. Always like the idea of, you know, just when you copy a Batterskull and then you get that return to hand ability, allowing you to change your mind on what exactly you copied. So a couple changes here in the sideboard.